Hello and welcome to this painting guide. In this guide today, I'm going to show you how to paint a British soldier of the American War of Independence. Now, what I would say is you can use this guide to follow most British of that era. The only thing you need to do differently really is the facings. So in here, I'm doing the 5th Regiment of Foot, which is green, but you can always swap that out for a different colour. Now the first colour I'm going to be using is going to be Ancient Stone. So this is going to be quite a creamy colour. So I'm going to use this and dry brush this over my undercoat, which is dead animal bits. So all I'm going to do is heavily dry brush this over. That's just going to give me a nice sort of beige, off-white kind of tone for all my, well, white details, because a lot of them are quite creamy anyway, and we can add some white later on. But first of all, I'm just going to dry brush over everything. This will be quite useful as well for like some other colours later on, because it will act as a little bit of a highlight when I thin down some colours like blacks and browns and stuff. Now what I'm going to do is get some matte white, and I'm going to do the same thing. So this is going to turn it more from a cream to a bit more of an off-white. Again, it's just a quick way of highlighting. I do it all over because that's going to pick out all the straps, trousers, other random bits that might be cream or white, and also help spot any other details and textures. Next up is the red. Now I've slightly thinned this down, just a little bit of water, not a lot. Painting the red part, I would say, is the most tedious. Pretty much after that it's plain sailing, because you can pick out all the other colours and have some fun. But yes, you've got to get that red on for the red coats, and like I said, it is quite tricky at times. But that's why I do it quite early on. I've done all the cream bits, and I'll be tidying those up if I do make mistakes as well. But I'm just going to block out all the red and just work my way around on those details. Luckily, there's not huge amounts, mostly just seeing the arms and tunic. Then I'm going to move on to his musket. Looking at the art and some of the old muskets, it's quite a dark oak kind of colour, so I'm just going to go for brute strap brown, paint that all over. I'm going to paint that over the metal bits as well, because that's just a nice base coat for adding the silver on later. But yeah, just pick out any wood details. I'm also going to pick out his hair as well. Makes sense, really. Then for the facings, now as I said at the start of the video, you can always swap out from whatever regiment you want to do, so you don't have to be green, but I'm using Guardian Green, and that's because this is the 5th Regiment of Foot, and that matches in quite nicely with that colour scheme, sort of a foresty green kind of tone. And just work your way around to the collars, cuffs, and any other facings you might need. What I'm going to do now is get some Ancient Stone. I'm just going to base coat that strap a little bit more for his cartridge bag or ammo pouch, whatever you want to call it. I'll probably get corrected in the comments, which I'm happy with, because I like that. But yeah, just a little bit more of a base coat in there just to make it a little bit more cream looking. Then I'm just going to pick out the flap of his haversack with mid battle dress, because it's more of a ochre kind of colour anyway, like a sort of light tan. So I just pick that out, and then we'll pick out some black bits in a moment or two. Speaking of which, we're on to matte black now. Now I like using matte black because that's good for like doing solid colours on certain details, but I can also thin it down. But alternatively, if you have grim black, you can always use that instead. Now, the reason why I've thinned it down here for the headgear is a lot of that undercoat and dry brushing I've done will show through, so it gives it a bit of a highlight as well. So I don't need to do much with the headgear after. For the rest of the haversack, I'm just going to pick that out with black. And this is just like pretty much neat with a little bit of water added to it just for ease of flow when I'm applying it to the model. Doing the boots as well. Again, work your way around. If you're making mistakes, don't worry about that. We can fix those in a bit. And of course, his sabre as well. In some places you might need to do a second coat, but mostly you'll be fine. Then we're going to move on to the skin. Now here I'm going to use Barbarian Flesh. Again, whatever skin tone suits you, whatever one you like using. I just like Barbarian Flesh. Sometimes I use Paratrooper Tan. I'll just mix it up a bit. But I don't really need to do more than one coat here, because that light undercoat's doing a lot of the hard work for me. One coat should be more than enough. Now for any white details, and there's quite a few on this model, I'm going to keep it to like the turnbacks as well as like the straps and stuff. So all I'm going to do is just go around and base coat those. Now it might seem counterproductive, but really it isn't, because it's kind of like I don't have to do like multiple coats here. I can just do like a thin coat of white over all those straps and stuff, because all that cream that's under there is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. In fact, in some places I don't even need to go to the edges, because it looks just more like a bit of a highlight or a bit of a shade in the recesses. So yeah, just go around all the straps that need doing. Obviously one strap is cream because it's for his little sack at the side, but the other one is more for his sabre. So again, just rucksack straps, swallow's nest on his arms as well, so just pick those out. Again, I don't have to go all the way to the edge because that cream's doing a lot of the heavy lifting for me. Just picking out the raised parts to give the impression of white. Now for his socks, what I'm going to do, just to give a sense of heavy fabric, I'm just going to do some vertical stripes. Not really going to think about it, just do a couple of little flicks here and there. Some are a little bit thicker than others, but really it's just to look like some heavy kind of sock. Oh, I made a mistake there, quickly tidy that up. And the same for the cord on his bearskin as well. Grenadiers look cool. Oh, can't forget all the little bits of lace on his facings as well. So I'm just doing the actual little stripes of lace as opposed to the buttons, because they're going to be silver in a bit. Also, I can't forget the collar of his undergarment as well shown through. Then any silver details, just going to get some gunmetal for that. So obviously all the workings on the musket, as well as the barrel. And of course that humongous bayonet. Then we can pick out all the buttons on his facings, whether that's on his cuffs or the facings on his tunic, as well as the buttons on the turn back of his tunic too. Can't forget those. Then for any brass details, very much like the Minutemen I did previously, I'm just going to use some bright gold and pick those out on the musket. So I just went my way around. In some places, you know, if you're not sure, look at some reference. I've just been looking at the art that's been done for the actual box set. And of course, I can't forget the saber hilt, as well as any other details on the scabbard. Now what I'm going to do is just go around and tidy up any bits that are a bit messed up, like I've got a bit of white on the red, or I missed a bit here and there. So this is just like a quick stage of just going around before we apply a wash, just a quick tidy here and there, because it's going to need it, because when you're painting, and sometimes like his strap on his musket, I did forget to pick that out. And of course the bearskin plate on the front of his helmet as well, or headgear. Now, I'm just using the edge of the brush here with a little bit of white on it. You could use the tip, a little bit more control required when you're doing the tip, but if you just run the edge ever so slightly, it'll pick out those raised areas. Inevitably, you will get a little bit black in the creases, but when you apply a wash, it'll be fine, it'll get hidden, or you can just get some black and tidy back up if you need to, just like I'm doing here. Then once all those tidy up areas are done, I'm just going to get some black knight or whatever wash you want to, whether that's strong tone, and apply it all over. Now, it might seem quite dark initially, certainly on the trousers. That's fine. I'm just going to apply it all over first, getting the places I want it to be, getting all the nooks and crannies. And then what I'm going to do is wipe off any excess off my brush, and then just apply a little bit of water to my brush, and then start applying that to things like his trousers, just so they're a little bit lighter. And it just flows that wash away, so it's not as intense and it won't be as neat and blotchy. You can do it on the sleeves as well if you want to. And then just soak up any excess if it's starting to pool. It will do that as it runs down, so just be mindful, you will get some pooling. So just soak off any excess. Now with the model now done, it's at this point you can just leave it at that and play some games with it. But what I'm going to do now is move on to doing some quick highlights, or at least tidying up, just to make it look a little bit prettier. Again, this is a step you don't have to do. This is more for like sergeants or commanders. I'll leave that up to you. But let's move on to doing some highlights. So the first thing I'm going to do is just get that pure red. I'm just going to tidy back up just on some raised areas and pick out some folds in the cloth. Normally, if I was doing like a commander, I'd probably go to a slightly lighter red after this, but actually for all the rank and file, this tidy up stage is going to be more than adequate, especially if you're going to be doing like 30 of them or more. So don't stress it, don't overdo it. Again, that shade's going to do a lot of the work for you. Oh, made a little bit of a mistake there, a little bit of red on the haversack, so I'll tidy that back up in a moment. Finish off that sleeve. There we go, bit of a tidy up there. Happens to the best of us. Now I'm just going to pick out any raised areas on the creams, so whether that's on the trousers, a little side bag, just pick out the odd crease here and there. Again, it gives a sense of a highlight, even though it's the same base color with a wash after it, it still looks like a highlight. Just a quick tidy up on some of the flat areas of the flap on his haversack. And then the white, again, just like the previous stages I've just done, I'm only picking out really the edges here, not going all the way and rebase coating. Again, it gives that sense of like a highlight. It's really quick and dirty, but it works, especially when you're doing loads of figures. Because red coats, I will say, are quite tricky to paint. There's quite a lot of red and white, which traditionally just don't go well together when you're painting, because things go pink. So yeah, just make it easy for yourself. That's what I'm saying. Enjoy the process of just sticking some white edges here and there, but don't go mad. Like I'm doing here. I'm clearly going mad. Just pick out some more white bits on those bits of lace on the facings. If you need to, you don't have to. Then I'm going to move on to highlighting his face. Probably I would say this is where most of your effort really would go, is just tidy that face up, make it look a little bit neater. Faces can be a bit tricky, but if you put all the effort into the face, most people will look at that. So don't stress it if like your red coat is a bit blotchy or your trousers are a bit blotchy, because they're going to be fighting, they're going to be a bit dirty. But a little bit of a highlight on the face makes them stand out a bit more. So that's what I'm just doing here, as well as the hand as well. Now you could get a lighter flesh like amber skin or something like that, but what I'm going to do is, just because I've got the ancient stone and the barbarian flesh, I'm just going to mix them together and do a 50-50 mix. It kind of gives the same effect as amber skin anyway. And again, all I'm going to do here is just go over the extremities, so the nose, the brows, the cheeks, and then of course I'll move on to other details like the knuckles, the fingertips, but that's really where my effort's going. Then I'm going to move on to picking out some silver bits again, just to tidy up, just to add a bit more punch in case they've lost some of their shine. So whether that's on the buttons or the musket barrel or the bayonet, whatever, just work your way around. Now the sword, I could have just like tied it back up with gold, but I kind of like the idea of using a little bit of brass. So I've got a little bit of true brass just to pick out on the edges. You could mix some silver in with your gold. That will do the same kind of effect, but I just got some true brass for this, just to make it a little bit more lighter and a bit more brassy, I guess. And then the last thing I like to do, just in case it needs it, is add a little bit of black into some of those recesses, whether that's around the eyes, between like joins of fingers, just any areas that might just need a little bit more of a divide, because sometimes you just need a little bit of help to bridge the gap. It can be a little bit subtle or a little bit shallow. So that's all I'm really doing here, just add a little bit more punch, help define some areas. And there we are. Our Grenadier of the 5th Regiment of Foot is now done. Now, if you did want your red coat or your British Grenadier to be from a different regiment, just swap out the facings if you really wanted to. It's entirely up to you. And as always, thank you for watching, and do check out more painting videos on Wargames Atlantic.